a string to integer atoi. Implement the myatoi function, which converts a string to a 32-bit signed integer. And what it means by that, so let's say the string 42 is given to us and we are supposed to return the integer 42. This is an easy example, but there are like a couple of special cases. So what we know about this question is the string that is given to us can be lowercase or uppercase letters, or it can be digits from 0 to 9, space, plus, minus, and dots. So it's not going to be always easy something like this that we need to return. It can be something like this, that we have some spaces and then the integer starts and we have the negative sign here that we should return negative minus like negative 42. And for this one, this is another case that we have the digits but we have some letters after that, and we should just return the integers that we have here. So let me share some of the examples here. So these are the examples. If it is minus 42, we are going to return minus 42. If it is 23, we return 20. If it is something like this that starts with letters and then we have number, we are going to return 0. If we have a number like this and there is a dot, we're just going to return this value that we have before the dot. And if it is something like this and we have some characters, letters, and dot and everything after the number, we are going to return just this number. And if we have positive and negative, so it means we are going to return 0. So, and these are the possible cases that we might face. And another thing that we should keep in mind is this is going to be a 32-bit. So the maximum number that we can get is going to be between minus 2 power 31 to 2 power 31 minus 1, right? So that's the number that we can get. And if everything goes beyond this range, we are going to return if it is beyond this range, it's gonna we are going to return this. And if it is bigger than this, we are going to return 2 power 31 minus 1. So let's see how we can code this and how we can solve this problem. To solve this problem, first thing, I'm going to deal with this special case that that we want to make sure that the number that we get is within range. So I'm going to say we have a maximum, and this maximum is going to be equal power, we are going to have power 2, we have 2 power 31 minus 1. That is going to be the maximum that we get. And we have a minimum, which is going to be power, minus 2 power 31. And these are the possible cases that we might have. Then what we are going to do, we are going to deal with the spaces that we might get at the beginning of the string, something like this. For doing that, I'm going to use a left strip. So I'm going to say s dot left strip. So it's going to remove all the spaces before the first character of the string. And then I'm going to have a sign variable, and by default I'm going to assume that this is going to be true, which means the number is positive. And if it is negative, I'm going to change this to false. And I'm going to have a summation that I'm going to return. So what I'm going to do, I start from the beginning. Let's say this is the example. I start from the beginning. I check, let's have an example here. So the example that we are going to work on is going to be something like this. We have spaces, and then we have, let's say, minus here, and then we have 234.625, and this is the case that we are going to deal with. After doing the else strip, what we are going to get, we are going to have this as the a string that we are going to work on. So we got rid of all the spaces from the left side, and then I'm going to assume the sign is true, but it's negative now, so this should be false after going through this string. what I'm going to do, I'm going to start to iterating over these characters until we hit characters that are not digits, or it's like dot or like letters or anything like that, right? So I'm going to have a for loop, and I'm going to say for index I and the character that I have in enumerate, I'm going to use enumerate of s. So why am I doing that? I'm going to say if the character that I have, right, if it is going to be equal to negative, what I'm going to do, and if it is the first index, which is going to be index 0. Why? Because if it is the second index, we are just going to return 0 and we are not going to do anything, right? So if it is the first index and if it is negative, I'm going to change the sign to false. And then I'm going to say if the character that I have is equal to positive and it is the first index, what I'm going to do, I'm doing nothing. I'm just going to continue because it is by default positive, right? And then I'm going to deal with another case that I want to make sure that the characters that I have are digits. If the character that I have is digit, right? If it is a digit, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the summation. And how am I going to do that? For getting the summation, let's say the number that I have is 1 2 3. I'm going to say the summation starts from 0 0 multiply 10 plus the number that I have, which is going to be 1, and then I'm going to say the summation that I got from the last step plus 2, which is going to be 10 plus 2 is going to be 12, and then the 12 that I have multiply 10 plus 3 is going to be 123. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say the summation that I have from the previous step multiply 10 plus, and for converting this character to from string to integer, I can use int or I can use ord function. What I'm going to do, I'm going to say the character that I have here minus character minus ord 0. It's going to be added here, right? So if it is 0, 0 minus 0 is going to be 0, 1 minus 0 is going to be 1, and so on, right? And the last case, if it is none of these cases, so it's not a negative, it's not a positive, and for the first index, or if it's not a digit, I'm going to break from this loop. And finally, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say if the sign is negative, so if not sign, I'm going to change the summation that I have minus 1 multiply the summation. So it's going to be, I'm going to convert this summation to negative, and then I'm going to check the range that I have here to make sure this is the number that we get, it's within range. And we use an if condition. I'm going to say if the summation that I have, if it is bigger than the maximum, I'm going to return the maximum. And if the summation that I have is smaller than the minimum, I'm going to return the minimum, right? And last, I'm going to say if none of these are the case, I'm going to return the summation. So the time complexity for this is going to be linear, and the space complexity is going to be constant because we are not using any extra space. Let's run the code, and it says if the index is equal to 0, my bad, and I did something, I think, wrong here. Return. We should be very careful about the typos. There we go, we got the answer. So I'm gonna put this another thing here, so that and I'm going to remove this so you can see we get the right answer. There we go, 123. Thank you.